What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. My name is Alex, and today we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review of a movie that just came out on Shudder called The Seed. Let's check it out. So I saw the trailer for this a few weeks ago or so, and it looks so absurd. I just had to watch it. You know, I was like excited about it because I knew that it was going to be some ridiculous sort of movie that I would want to watch because I like some pretty wild, different, interesting stories that kind of go a little outside the mainstream, specifically indies with a lot of cojones, you know what I mean? Sometimes these movies do well and sometimes they're kind of fair to middling. So what is The Seed about? A few girls, 3 girls in particular, are going to a small sort of luxurious house that one of their parents owns that goes to have a vacation. The house is very luxurious, has multiple in and outdoor pools, and this is a wonderful spot for these 3 girls to not only have a good time together in the middle of nowhere, but also enjoy the spectacle that is about to happen in the sky with a meteorite storm that is happening once in a lifetime. While they're watching the storm, a meteorite lands in their pool, and they start to realize that some pretty crazy things are happening involving horror, death, and alien invasion. Yes, you heard that right. Now keep in mind, this is an independent film, so you're going to want to put your expectations a little bit in check. You know, we all want a little bit wild, crazy, out of control budget fucking style movie. And sometimes we get that, you know, we get a movie that'll spend $20 million on a schlocky sort of fun, so bad it's good style movie, and we all love it. And well, not everyone, but this is kind of one of those movies that is an independent film, but some of the acting in these girls, whether you like them or not, is actually pretty good. It's like well written. They speak to each other in a sort of modern speak that you would, and one of them is actually super like intense, like self-centered. One of them's kind of in the middle that's like the tether to the other girl who's not even online and doesn't even do any kind of social media whatsoever. So she's kind of the pariah of the friends group. But they're all very different, and then this thing happens, and those small things that they had against each other start blowing up and building up. Now, this is considered a comedy, horror, sci-fi movie, so you're going to get a mix of a lot of things. Some people who are going into this expecting a super comedy story, I don't know, I've read a few reviews that are just a little don't make sense. Let's just put it that way. Just watching the trailer, you get an idea of how this movie is going to be. When I saw the trailer and I saw that thing land in the pool, and then they were like pointing at each other that something's wrong, and I was just like, okay, so this is going to be a kind of a schlocky idea turned into an independent film that is going to go places that normal mainstream movies aren't going to go. I'm in for the ride. I hope it goes further than I do, and for the most part it does take you there in some situations, but I was a little surprised that the middle portion of this movie took as long as it did to get to the goods. Like, I feel like this movie, while I enjoyed it, should have tried to hit the ground running from the start to finish, and I think it would have been a better film overall. As you guys know, I always talk about those little snack treats that get you to the end of the movie. This movie kind of relies on sort of that suspension and some of the stuff that happens in between dialogue wise that I think they could have done while having a few weird instances happen at a time. Now, this could have been a monetary stumbling block, and that is very possible with an independent film, but I feel like if they just had a little bit more going on, a couple of weird occurrences that splashed in their faces or did something to one another, it would have kind of helped the viewer get through the movie a little faster, and I really feel like it could have picked up the pace a little bit. For a movie that is supposed to be a comedy, horror, sci-fi, it does deliver on all 3 fronts, I think, but the comedy is like some of that dark sort of subtle. I think for the most part they deliver it here. There are some gore scenes in this movie. There are some weird sexual scenes in this movie. There are some just bizarre things that happen. Sort of the concept of this movie about an alien sort of crash landing as a meteorite is very intriguing to me, and I love that. So I was kind of like eager to see where it was going to go. And I may be a different example than for somebody else who's not interested in those kind of things, and that isn't the bait that they need to carry through the movie. So again, this middle of the movie just really kind of slowed down a bit, and I really think they could have picked it up quite a bit to keep the movie flowing. It wasn't a terrible watch, don't get me wrong. It's not like I was sitting there like, oh God, you know, I may be the target demographic for this specific type of movie, and somebody else who's watching this might not. Was it funny? I mean, there is moments that are funny-ish. I didn't laugh out loud a lot, but there was a couple of moments that I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I'm really into this. Some of the characters people are going to have issues with, I guarantee you, just because they're designed that way. And seems to be a common thing I see in other people's reviews. They're like, oh, I hated that character. It's like, well, you know, some characters you're supposed to hate. I think they were written that way to kind of push the story along and give you different types of characters to kind of get interested in or not. Not every character is supposed to be a love fest, in my opinion. You're supposed to just have a myriad of different characters that go through a myriad of different problems. And these situations, these little snack treats, are what kind of pull you along to the very end for the grand finale. Now, I enjoyed where this movie ended up a little bit more than I did that middle section, but it wasn't as amazing as I was hoping for. I feel like this is a great idea that deserved a little bit more of a budget, but you know, the creature effects in this is a little lighthearted and weird in some regards, while also being overtly sexual and kind of gross. But it's also really cool too. Like, there's some really good ideas tucked into here that I actually enjoyed, and I would have loved to see more stuff like that in the lore and the experience that these characters are going through. I mean, for only 3 characters for the most part, they did a pretty good job of keeping you interested. Another thing about the movie that I thought, it had some interesting visuals and stuff thrown in to kind of like give it this sort of people losing their minds kind of thing, and I thought it was effective. I thought it was a good addition to it to kind of spice up the way that the picture looks visually. I feel like it could have gone a little bit further, made it more thrilling, even if the creature was a little schlocky. Now, I'm not going to give this a huge score, but I still really enjoyed my time with it. And it is kind of like, oh man, I really wish this could have gone further. But I would say that this is a movie that is probably a 6.5, maybe a 7. As far as an independent film, it's actually not too bad. You'll get some enjoyment out of it if you like that sort of physical body, sort of practical effects type stuff. It is in here, and it's not going to be the best thing you've ever seen, but it also is doing what it can with what it has as far as the budget is concerned. I still think Sam Walker, who the director and writer of this movie, I think for the first feature film, I think he did a really good job. And I would like to see more from Sam in the future, and I hope to see more wilder stuff with a little bit more of a budget that kind of gives us those snack treats all the way through the whole movie. If this movie would have picked up right from the get and then gone just ape shit all the way to the fucking end, I think it would have had a better feeling and vibe about it. This one has some slow sort of vibey moments in it, but it's kind of hard to take it so seriously when there's some parts in the movie with the creature effects that are kind of, I don't know, it's a really weird mix here, guys. Like, the creature effects is going to be a mixed bag for a lot of people watching this movie. They're either going to be just so upset about seeing how ridiculous it looks, and you don't expect this kind of crazy shit to happen from something kind of cute. You'll see what I mean when you see the movie. But that's what I think of the movie, and that's what I'm going to give the score for. I hope, this gives you kind of an idea, something to see. Indie movies are supposed to kind of go places we've never seen before, and I think this one does. It is above average for that reason, especially, and that's why I give it a 6.5 or a 7. You know, it deserves a little bit of credit for being in the indie and kind of pushing those boundaries, because it's a little schlocky, but the acting is actually done well enough to kind of convince you that it's almost like a mainstream movie, and so many people may lower the score because of that. I feel like that's going to be a problem, but for me, I enjoyed it. I'd watch it again just because it's just weird, and the situation is just too good to not want to watch again. But would I love to see it go further? Yes. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoy this content and you like to find new movies and horror, please hit the like and subscribe button. We'll have more on the way. But other than that, thanks so much for your time, and as always, long live the void. Join us. Beyond